Of the VDMA CEO's Thought Leadership Series. And today we have Mr. Manojit Acharya with us. Good morning to you, Manojit. Thank you for joining us on this interview today.
Good morning, Rajesh.
Yeah. Friends, let me introduce Manojit first. Manojit Acharya is the Managing Director of Jungheinrich Lift Truck India. He started his career with process equipment companies like Alfa Laval and Praj Industries. He joined VDMA Cranes in 1999, where he spent a large part of his career. Started in sales and then was involved in various functions till he took over the leadership position in 2012. Manojit joined Jungheinrich in 2015 with a mandate to grow the organization and aggressively increase market share in India. Manojit, I think the events in the last 3 months have been totally unprecedented. Nobody would have imagined that the global economy would see such a dip and the economy in India would be impacted so severely. Manojit, what has been the impact of COVID-19 on Jungheinrich in India as well as Jungheinrich globally?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks, Rajesh. Thanks for the opportunity for speaking on this forum. How this whole thing is affected. I mean, this is pretty much the first time in my career that I'm seeing a situation like this, first time in my life, or the first time actually that I'm seeing the Indian economy, which is being projected for a negative growth in the next some time. It has affected everything. Globally, Jungheinrich is seeing, slowed down markets, and that's how the business is slower. It was anyway, the markets were slowing down, but with the pandemic now it's much more pronounced. But fortunately for us, I think our supply chain and our factories are working well. So all the factories in Germany are working perfectly fine. Only one factory had to shut down for a little while. The factory in China, of course, after the initial closure for some time, has been working at full capacity for the last some time. So it's only demand, I would say, right now, which is affected. Our head office, of course, is working still from home and would work that way for the next some time. In India, of course, as far as the office is concerned, the office is closed most of the time. We now have an option to open it only for a few people. But again, in India, our warehouse, which is the heart of the business, is working. And all through the lockdown, we have been supporting our essential services customers and now the other customers. But of course, like the thing is, the market volume in India has been very, very less for the past some time. And possibly right now, if we extrapolate it, it might even be that the market volume at the end of 2020 would be at the range of the level it was in 2015. So that's like a 5-year going back.
Right. And the experience of working from home, Manojit, that has worked out well for Jungheinrich India?
It definitely has, and it's such a pleasant surprise for me, the whole thing. I was initially skeptical of how it would work, but I think the team has really done it very well. So with support from IT headquarters, IT India, I think from an IT system side, everything is working fine. We work on Skype and we have these meetings and conferences through the day. People are connected, people are still motivated and working well. I think our business is still running in spite of everyone being at home.
Yeah, and I think it's all a new experience for many or most of us. I think all of us, Manojit, this work from home concept, especially people who are on the field visiting customers, moving around. So I think it's a totally new experience we have to deal with. I was telling my wife, we've never spent so much time together as we have spent in the last 3 months, actually.
Absolutely. And, it's even more pronounced in Mumbai, where the houses are small and no one has the luxury of, a large study for yourself and things. So, people and everyone is working. And so, yeah, it's fun. But it does get disturbing at times when my wife is teaching, for example, she has to be loud with the children. And on the other hand, I'm doing some official call. But then, yeah, getting used to it, and it's fun nevertheless.
Right, right. Manojit, you mentioned about the demand and to stimulate the demand and help the MSME sector, the government announced the 20 lakh crore stimulus package. What is your take on this, Manojit? Do you think it'll help the MSME sector as well as help in creating demand?
Well, we still have to see. As of now, I don't really see any immediate effects coming out of that. And the fact that it is so focused only to MSME sector, uh, does not give us an immediate advantage, nor does it really give an advantage to Jungheinrich's customers, because they are also not in MSME typically. But there could be some things. I won't say, that 20 lakh crore is a big thing to look at, but there would be some things which would help, but that also could take a bit of time. But right now, if you ask, has Jungheinrich benefited majorly from that? Not really right now.
Right, right. Also, one of the impacts, Manojit, of the COVID has been that there has been severe supply chain disruptions, and the government has been talking about vocal for local, trying to create more opportunities in India. So my question to you is, Manojit, do you see this talk of vocal for local as well as due to the supply chain disruptions, that investments would come to India to mitigate the supply chain risks, Manojit?
I think it would, but my only thing is, the one thing which India really needs to work on a little bit more is the ease of doing business. Now, that is one thing which, everyone has been speaking of for a long time. But even at this point of time, we do see hurdles. Do see hurdles in many things. So that if that is improved, we should be able to see more companies, starting to manufacture over here, whether they're Indian companies or international. From a supply chain perspective, from our side, like, we don't manufacture here, but for us, where that is, really affected right now is the imports. And, at that point of time, you do feel that having a local supply chain would possibly have helped. But then the thing is, the market for our products over here is still not so large that we can really talk of investments. And of course, in the current scenario, when the factories all over the world, if they are not running at full capacity, it's very difficult to get further investment. But yeah, I would see a little bit. But once again, initially there was a lot of talk of there's going to be a huge exodus of companies leaving China to come into other countries. My personal view is I really would not see that happening so immediate. If at all, it could take more time.
Right. Manojit, what you mentioned, is there a thought process at Jungheinrich also to look at possibilities of sourcing more locally or within India and reducing the import? Is there a thought process happening at Jungheinrich?
There, even at this point of time, there is a little bit of sourcing which happens from India, but that is for the global factories.
Okay.
We are not yet working on a value add situation over here. There is a thought process. There has been a thought process, and I have been a proponent of that for some time. But it mainly is right now a demand supply kind of situation. when we see the demand increasing, we would, because it's natural that we could look at it at some point of time. But in the current scenario, I don't see it as a very short-term project. It could be a medium to long-term.
Right, right. Manojit, the COVID has been unprecedented. I mean, there was no precedent of COVID and the disruptions that happened due to the COVID. Now, this is also a challenge for leaders. What would be your tips for the CEOs of the German companies in this period of crisis? Two or three thoughts from your side, how, as a leader, one can overcome this crisis.
I think, few things which I very strongly feel, and things that I've been trying to practice. The first thing to me is, do not lose sight of the larger picture, of the long term. Do not take short-term decisions or things which can give you some immediate relief. Do not lose sight on the long term. I think that's something which German companies have in their DNA, and we should live by that. Right. The second thing to me is the willingness to serve our customers. And at that point of time, to give you examples, when the lockdown started and our essential service customers were started working, at that point of time, I think the biggest thing for us is not look at it from a profit perspective or a business perspective, but just keep serving them at that point of time. And that again goes with the long-term vision. And third, which is extremely important to me, is compassion. Compassion for your customers and for your team. I think in these times, which, like you said, unprecedented, the biggest point is to keep your team motivated, is to keep your team happy, is to keep your team safe. And to me, these are possibly the three most important things which we are following, and would be my tips to the others also.
Thank you. I think very valuable points you've mentioned, Manojit, and especially I think service to customers during this period of crisis. And I think it is like building the long-term relationship. Maybe, as you rightly said, it may not bring revenue at this stage, but at least the customer would have the name of Jungheinrich in his mind when he is looking to order in the future. So I think a very valid point, Manojit. Manojit, there are a lot of predictions how the Indian economy would go. Earlier, when the lockdown started, we were talking about a V-shaped recovery, that we would have a quick rebound. Then the lockdown got extended. I think the sentiments also dipped a little bit. And now we are talking of something like a GDP dip of about 4%, 5%. IMF has forecasted. Fitch has a different rating. Somebody is saying -5%. Some are saying -4%. In your view, where would the Indian economy be at the end of the financial year 2021, Manojit? Do you see that some sort of a rebound will come?
About these V and, the various shapes, my thing would be sort of an extended U. Okay. It's going to take time. It's going to take time because there are a whole lot of things which have happened. This is not like what happened in the global financial crisis or the earlier recessions. There are various things. Even tomorrow, if things start improving, we still have the labor issue to look at. We still have to attract the labor to come back into the larger cities. So to me, it would be an extended U, and I would see some improvement or some growth in the beginning of the next calendar year, or even maybe in the beginning of the next financial year. And this year there would be negative 4, 5, 7. I don't know what that would really go to. But the hope is, for companies like us who have been seeing also some, really good growth in the last few years, especially after the GST rollout, that this sort of gives us a wake-up call, if you may, of, what are the things that we need to do to keep ourselves, updated in these scenarios, and and sort of bounce back when the economy starts improving, hopefully next year.
Right. And Manojit, which sectors do you feel, especially for Jungheinrich, do you feel any new upcoming sectors, like we are talking about e-commerce picking up? I think that would be one sector which would really benefit a company like Jungheinrich. Are there any other sectors also, Manojit?
So I think, the sectors which are very important to us, which are picking up right now, e-commerce or, retail as a whole. Retail as a whole, and especially e-commerce, that would be, pharma. Pharma could be. Now, the only thing which possibly pharma needs to sort out is their supply chain issue. But otherwise, I think that would be. And the entire foods and related, food and beverage sector. So all these three sectors are sectors which are very important for us. Because we do a fair bit of business there, and so clearly these would come out strong and would help our business also.
Right. Manojit, let's end it on a lighter note. The company name Jungheinrich is not so easy to pronounce. What has been your experience? You would have heard various versions of Jungheinrich being spoken here in India. So, what are the most funniest versions you've heard, Manojit?
Yeah, I hear things like Jungheinrich all the time. But I still remember that one day in Bhubaneswar, which was a VDMA event, when I gave that pen drive to the hotel guy, and he said he didn't have my pen drive, and when I reminded him, he said, "Sir, wo Zanjeer." And I mean, hearing Zanjeer for Jungheinrich was the best thing which could happen. And I remember starting my presentation saying, "I'm Amitabh Bachchan from Zanjeer." So, but the funniest one, I'm sure.
Right. So, Manojit, thank you so much for joining us for the VDMA Thought Leadership Series, Manojit. And on behalf of VDMA, all my colleagues, wishing you a good restart of operations of the business, and wishing you a lot of success in financial year 2021. And do stay connected with us. And please join us for some of our webinars. We would have a very interesting webinar coming up on Friday. So do join us for that and stay connected, and all the best to you and your team. Stay safe and stay optimistic. Thank you, Manojit.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rajesh. Wishes to your family and your team. Stay safe, and let's remain connected.
Thank you, Manojit. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.